So you just spend six figures on a new SUV, and you're not allowed to fix it. That's kind of crazy. What else is crazy is that the alternator went on this thing last year. It took Ford 3 weeks to fix it. 3 weeks. Because they didn't have the part. They blew the computer on it. So I had to wait for another one of those. $2,000 and 3 weeks of downtime. Now, if I was able to fix that myself, which, by the way, I basically couldn't because it is very much already electronically locked out in a lot of ways. I could have gone down to my favorite parts store, bought an alternator, installed it in probably 20 minutes because it's not hard to work on these EcoBoost engines, and I'd be done.
Oh, hi there. Welcome to B Cars Garage. Today we got something a little bit pressing on my mind. The other day, Ford CEO and high-ranking officials from GM and some other companies were at the White House trying to, pressure / lobby the government, the president for that matter, trying to tell them that we should have the right to repair. And, what does that mean? Well, basically it means that they want to be able to have all the rights. You own the car, but they want to have the right to repair the vehicle over you, the consumer. And some of the things they stated were safety and whatnot, which, maybe makes sense. I think it goes a lot deeper than that, and I'd like to talk about that because, they don't care about working on your classic muscle car or even your older, 20-year-old car. They're not interested in that. They're interested in the stuff they sell you new today and going forward into the future.
And now that might not sound like anything too exciting. It actually really is important because this is my 2018 Ford Expedition. I bought it used with 50,000 miles. It now has just a little over 100, about 102. And it has cost me and Ford combined $17,000 in the last 12 months on repairs. And there's still a bunch of stuff outstanding like this, which is fun. Newer cars aren't supposed to be able to do this. Are they? That's like a trampoline. Kind of crazy, isn't it? That's a couple $1,000 fix. It's electrical because this has CCD, which is basically a constant dampening for suspension. Really makes it ride nice. But because it's electronic, if you bought this exact vehicle today and that went bad and the right to repair didn't belong to you, the owner, and it belonged to Ford, in this case, because that's the vehicle I'm talking about, you would not be allowed to touch it because the electronics that are intertwined throughout the entire vehicle also run the rear suspension on this car. So now instead of you going and buying a set of rear struts, which were actually pretty expensive and I do have to replace them, I do have them for somewhere in the neighborhood of $1,000, now you're paying a diagnostic fee, the repair itself, the dealership price parts, which are going to be always more because let's face it, O'Reilly's or anything else is obviously going to be cheaper. Bottom line is it's going to cost you more money. And I really can't go on and on with this particular vehicle because, like I said, it had $17,000 in repairs in the last 12 months. That rear suspension is not part of that money. It has a head gasket, suspected head gasket failure that is still not rectified. And the thing is, so let's talk about that, a head gasket. Well, Joe Blow can fix that in his garage. I could fix that in my garage. Believe me, you don't want to rip apart these EcoBoosts. They're not fun, but you could do it. If you don't have the right to repair, instead of you buying, a head gasket kit, new timing chains, everything, let's say you're somewhere in the $1,000 to $2,000 worth in parts, call your dealership and find out what a head gasket job is on a brand new Expedition. It's probably in the neighborhood of $5,000 to $8,000 because there's a lot of work involved. Of course, something like your classic car, not going to have that issue. They aren't interested in that. And in fact, that is actually one of the biggest reasons that this is starting to become a problem because the general public, myself extremely included in this, is really starting to understand and see what new vehicles are really starting to entail when it comes to repairing it yourself. And it's not as simple as, 50 years ago, pull the float bolts off the carburetor, change a couple jets, put a gasket, put a plastic fuel filter in it, hit the timing light, change the timing a bit. It's all different. It's completely computerized now. And that's not to say that makes it inherently more difficult. But what is inherently more different in that is that the manufacturer over the last handful of decades, and especially in the last 10 years for that matter, has inherently made it more difficult for you to do yourself. And now you might ask yourself, and you probably understand the answer before I even say it, because 1 + 1 was 2 in kindergarten or grade 1, And it still is, because the reason they don't want you to do it is because of money. And this is the biggest issue with these corporate entities, is that they have shareholders and board meetings and all these issues and people who want to get paid. Eventually, you stop finding reasonable ways to come up with how a company can make more money. And that's where we're at right now, in my opinion. And you can say I'm not the CEO, I'm not anybody, in fact. I'm just a guy talking on YouTube, voicing his opinion. And I generally don't like to do too many videos like this because I try not to complain more than I need to. But I think it needs to be shared and talked about as much as it can. You need to reach out to your senators, your legislators, your mayors, your governors, everybody. Email these people and talk to them and voice your opinion how it absolutely cannot happen. You cannot let these massive companies and corporations dictate what people like you and me are going to do with your money when you're spending $50,000 plus on a vehicle these days, and potentially significantly more than that. I mean, it's not hard to make a new truck cost $100,000. And you know what? Let's just even put all the craziness aside. $100,000 truck. Who cares? It could be a $5 truck. If I go to the dollar store, I hit Dollar General and I buy something for $1 and it breaks, I want to be able to fix it myself. And I just paid $1 for it. I can make the choice to punt it, throw it in the garbage can, smash it with a hammer, whatever I want to do, because it's mine. I paid for it. It was $1. So for someone to come in and try and go into the Oval Office and say, yeah, we know these people are paying 6 figures for a vehicle, but we don't care. That's our vehicle. We want to be able to fix it. We should be telling them what they're going to do with it. Does that not sound crazy? Is that almost some kind of weird definition of crazy? I kind of think it is. It's just not good, is the bottom line. And there's a whole lot of rabbit hole, crazy kind of stuff we can go down. And I don't want to go down any of it because none of it really, in my opinion, is relevant. Because all that you really need to know in this instance, much like my Ford Expedition, which is a 2018 and it is approaching 10 years old already, and it is littered with electronic stuff. A lot of issues I've had. I could get Forescan and do it myself, but I had an extended warranty. So it just went to the dealership every time, and that was fine because that's, I got what I paid for. Number one, you paid a pile of money, and people say, well, it's just money. How much time did you have to go to work? Oh, well, maybe people have lots of money. Okay, well, which business did you have to sell? What did you have to do? Money is not free. You had to do something to get a big chunk of money to get that new vehicle. And now someone else is trying to dictate to you what you should do with your own property. Number one, that's a huge issue and a red flag in and on its own. It's going to cost you more money. Case in point, again, my Expedition has cost a pile of extra money with frequent dealership visits. Like I said, my alternator job with the tow and everything was something like $2,000, which is absolutely wild. I will, however, say that after talking to Ford customer care, they knocked something like 10 or 15% off my bill. I talked to this really lovely lady in Florida, and she was able to hook me up, and she's probably just doing her job, so I really shouldn't chalk it up as much more than that. But because I've had so many issues this year, I finally broke down and called them and said, hey guys, something's up here. This can't go on. So they helped me out a little bit. I appreciate that. So there's the cost. Number two, and this is a good one because not a lot of people are talking about this yet. Call any dealership. I want you, as soon as you watch this video, obviously you can't call if it's after hours. I want you to pick up the phone tomorrow. Call your local, doesn't matter, your favorite dealership. Ford, GM, Dodge, Ferrari, whoever you want to phone. Phone them and tell them something basic. Hey, I need some brakes. I need an alternator. I need a power steering pump. I need a steering wheel. Call them and find out how far away those parts are. And the answer to that question is not going to shock me because I know the answer already. But the average person would be astounded to know that so many new vehicles do not have inventory on parts. And this is one of the bigger issues, at least especially to me, and why working on old cars is a great thing because you can always find a way to fix them and keep driving. Because let's not get too ahead of ourselves here. We need vehicles because they're transportation. Sure, they can look great and flashy and all those extra things, but at the end of the day, we're going to work. We're taking our kids to sports. We're taking our kids to daycare. We're driving family members around to doctor's appointments. It is a box on wheels that gets us from point A to point B. And when you phone and find out that the parts you need to fix your own vehicle, not only are you not able to fix it yourself because now you have lost the physical right to repair your own vehicle, even though you own it, you pay insurance, you put gas in it, it stays at your house, you're essentially renting it at that point. That is really what it is now you are renting a new vehicle because you're not allowed to repair it. But when that right is removed, now you're stuck waiting for somebody else. How many manufacturers out there for new vehicles? There's quite a few. How many used part junkyards are out there? Tons of them. Thousands across the country. How many aftermarket parts manufacturers are there? Not actually a whole lot, but because they own so much, there's a pile of different stores. Again, measured by thousands. So this absolutely massive ecosystem, which is like this, cannot be changed overnight, in 24 hours, in 6 months. In fact, it would be measured by years to try and change that. And you have to ask yourself, does any of these major manufacturers selling new vehicles have the ability to do that overnight? And the answer is no. They could buy everyone up, but the answer is still no. It is not going to happen overnight. So what is that going to leave you with? You're going to have a new vehicle that when things go bad, you're stuck waiting for somebody else. And I don't know about you, but every time I've ever called the dealership, it's always a waiting game. It doesn't matter if I drop it off for an oil change. I drop it off in the morning. I pick it up when it's done. I always have to get myself around. That's for an oil change. What happens when you're doing anything else? Right now is actually a great example. I've got tons of examples because I have a pile of vehicles. And this is my thing. I do this on, let's say on the side, I'm a full-time construction worker, but I live and breathe cars 24/7. Ask my wife, she hates it. This will hinder everything you want to do in your day-to-day life at some point or another. And I'm not sitting here trying to really sound off about how terrible this is, but the issue is I'm kind of fired up because it's a big problem. And more than a big problem, it's your property that's essentially being removed from you. And my third takeaway from this that I am kind of worried about, but kind of not. And let me just break that down a little bit because that's pretty vague. So earlier, you're seeing I'm working on a classic muscle car I have. I do have a lot of old cars and some that I literally kind of drive almost like daily to work. I just picked up this 74 Mercury not long ago. I'm literally going to change the oil, put 4 new tires on it right away, and take it for a spin, get a coffee or an ice cream probably. And I want to start driving that to work, and that's no joke. I've always wanted to do stuff like that for fun because I enjoy it. But it is literally starting to become more so now for the average person than ever, almost a necessity to buy an older vehicle that has low miles. And it doesn't matter if it's something from the 70s or the 90s or the 2000s, what have you, because they all mean the same thing. You can fix it. And if you can't fix it, someone down your street can fix it. Your neighbor can fix it. The guy who owns a little garage down the road can fix it. The parts are cheap. They're available. And that brings me to my next little point in this third issue, is that junkyards are literally just kind of burning down, which, these things happen. Some used places are going out of business. Some manufacturers have recently gone bankrupt. There's kind of this perfect storm brewing in that old cars are getting harder to come by, obviously, because they're disappearing every day. But now the parts are starting to dry up for them, which means you can't really fix them, rendering them useless anyway. So I think in some weird roundabout way, this is going to be the future one way or the other where, hey, you know what? You guys are just going to buy a new vehicle and you're going to like it. And we're not going to have a choice. And that's very unfortunate. And really, if I have any kind of a message, my message is that you have a choice. And you need to voice those choices and opinions to anyone that you can locally and try and push it up the food chain. Because if you sit here and stay quiet about it, people will be stuck buying new vehicles. They will be stuck paying exorbitant prices to fix these vehicles. So as usual, like, comment, subscribe, share the heck out of this video. I'm going to say it a couple times in this video. This really needs to get spread out there because it's very important. It's going to cost everybody a pile of money. That's the bottom line. It is going to be an expensive endeavor. You and me, we're the ones that are going to pay the bill. Literally.